Good morning, Marty.
Hello, sir. How
How
are
are
you?
you? I'm good. I'm good. I got a question for you. I got a question for you.
What is the question, sir?
What are we going to do today, Marty?
Chris, it's the same thing we do every day. Try to bring people to Christ.
Amen. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. If you don't know us, my name is Chris Cuff. I'm an executive producer of the International Christian Film and Music Awards. And with me is the pastor, head of the church, executive director of the festival, Mr. Marty Jean Louis. And we come to you via Jesus, the good Lord Christ, who has brought us through heaven and hell to you. Oh man, you heard that? Birds. It's springtime is here.
That's right. That's
It's
right. We have
springtime
a
means
lot of birds.
ICFF.
Yeah.
ICFF is springtime. Man. So are you ready?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
I'm excited this year. We have a lot of really wonderful seminars, a lot of wonderful movies, and this next guest, has become a really good friend. And I've got a story actually. I
Uh-oh.
sent him. I'm not a screenplay writer, right? But I'm a storyteller, so I could do that all day. But I can't quite put it well on paper. So I told him about. He's like, yeah, just put it on paper. And I said, yeah. He's like, oh man. Basically, he said, this is terrible. Like, and he said it in a nice way.
He's honest. At least he's honest.
This is like the worst thing I've ever seen.
Because he could have said, "Oh, okay,
And
okay."
that's what I like about him, though. Like, for me, I want that. I want people to be genuine and honest and
Yep.
a little bit brutal.
Yep.
It is a brutal industry, right? If you cannot take that, maybe this is not the right industry for you.
Right.
So
Right.
let's bring our guest in and chop it up a little bit.
Let's bring him.
Hey, Bob.
Hey, Marty, I'm sorry if I was tough on you. I didn't mean to be tough on you.
Oh no, it's good, man. I want it. I think
Gross.
it's good. I think it's good because if you don't do it, somebody else will, right? Like
Well, it's your concept was great because you ended up making it. I think, didn't you?
yes,
Yeah,
Mhm.
your concept was terrific. I think, and so it was just a matter of massaging the concept and getting it where it was filmable. And you did it, obviously, and
yeah. And you helped me through that as well,
Well, I
and you gave me
appreciate that.
a lot of
wanna
good
help.
pointers. Yeah, you did. You did. You gave me a lot of really, really good pointers that I didn't think about. So thank you for that.
My
sir.
pleasure.
Again.
I hope it. It's just it's all a matter of screenwriting. Everybody thinks screenwriting is easy, and that all they have to do is throw a bunch of words on a piece of paper, and that Steven Spielberg's going to knock on their door and make a movie.
You mean that's not what happens?
Here, ready?
Yeah.
This is my screenwriting book, and it's
love it.
titled
I
this
love
for
it.
a reason.
I love it.
I've got to ask you, and we normally ask everybody this because we want to get perspective. You were in California, I believe, when you first attended ICFF.
I was.
And what was your expectation, and did ICFF meet that
Oh,
expectation?
it was spectacular. I mean, I have to tell you, it was a. First of all, I got to hang around with a lot of people that I knew online and that I've worked with, and I got to just spend time with you, which was fabulous. But it's the most open everybody gets along. There's no competition there really between people. A lot of people who are there, the fact that they're believers makes a huge difference. But the fact is that a lot of people who are there understand that there's room for everybody to succeed, and they all succeed on their own merits. It's not a competition. It's not a zero-sum game where if one person succeeds, somebody else doesn't. But there are a lot of people who see the film and television industry that way. They're jealous or upset that somebody else succeeds because they think that's one step of keeping them from succeeding, and it's just not true.
That's amazing. So, what kind of things are you going to be teaching in this year's seminar at the festival?
I'm going to be teaching a couple of classes. I'm going to be teaching a class on the mistakes that most writers make, or all writers make at some time, because I made them too. There's a lot of them, and I'll talk about a lot of ways that you don't try and market yourself, because unfortunately a lot of people think that they've come up with this great idea that nobody's ever thought of, and I need to explain to them that there's no idea that hasn't been thought of, and that none of them will ever work. And I'll talk about some of the other mistakes that people make when they're actually writing their script, and some of the false ideas that people get from some of these screenwriting gurus who have never produced a movie in their life. So
I once had this idea that there was this guy, it was a homeless guy, and he died, right? And before they buried him, this reporter looked up his past, and turns out like he had saved someone in the Vietnam War. He had also met President Kennedy. He ran across country twice, back and forth. And also he was a great football star.
Are you talking about Forrest
like in
Gump?
college? And then Forrest Gump came out. So yeah, I get that premise that you were saying about stories.
No, you just have to. We'll talk about that. And I'm going to do another seminar about story, and I'm going to talk a lot, I think, about story logic, because that gets lost on a lot of people. That audiences, the people you write your movie for, and you write it for producers, but they read it like an audience. And audiences look for logic in stories. It can be the weirdest. You can set up a world but within the world you set up, you still have to remain logical, and I'm going to talk about that.
That's cool.
Wow. So outside of, teaching, what else do you do at ICFF?
I network, and I talk to people, and I wanted to talk to you about another thing that I came up with at another festival that was pretty cool, but we can do that offline.
Awesome.
But it's a really good idea. And I at a lot of places that I do this, I sit on panels and talk to groups and take questions. I love taking questions from people. A lot of people want to talk to me one-on-one. It's not very often that somebody who has written a screenwriting book, and I has 19 produced films, which I have. And
wow.
There's going to be 20 and 21 this year, I believe.
Wow.
And maybe 22. We'll see what happens. I'm very, very busy, and so lots of wonderful things are happening.
Quick question: can anyone become a screenwriter, or some people should really stay away from that? I mean, you've read a lot of scripts, and you talk to a lot of screenwriters.
The misconception about screenwriting not being a craft, and not having to learn it, and to understand story, and to understand how you build layers of story, and how every word counts in a screenplay. Those kinds of things and the job of a screenwriter. The job of a screenwriter is something that I don't think people who write screenplays understand. All those credits at the end of the movie? It's your job to do everything they don't do. and it's not your job to do the things that they do. And the problem is that most writers think that they have to do all those jobs too. And what it does is it takes up all that that white space in your script, to where you're not telling an hour and a half's worth of story. You're maybe telling 62 minutes worth of story, because you filled it with all this other stuff that isn't story. And we'll talk about that too.
Awesome. Bob, thank you so much for spending the time with us, man. We are so looking forward to seeing you at ICFF.
Yes.
I'm looking forward would you like to hear a quick success story from ICFF?
Yes.
Last time I was at ICFF, I met with a very, very influential person in the production realm, and ended up writing a script for him from just that meeting, and getting a deal out of it. And it was somebody I didn't know, and it was purely the conference that helped that happen. So it's a conference where movers and shakers are moving and shaking, and things are happening, and it's a great place to meet people and network, and networking. And to anybody watching this who is not in the industry, networking isn't meeting somebody and trying to figure out what they can do for you, because that's using people. Networking is meeting people and establishing relationships where they want to do something for you in the future, because you've started a relationship, a friendship. That's what networking is. And people often mistake networking for what are you going to do for me?
Awesome.
Love it. Love it.
Bob, you're going to get me in trouble, because I'm going to be sitting in your classes during the festival and not working.
I might sneak in too.
I hope you do. I'd love to have you come in.
This sounds like great stuff, man. Thank you so much for joining us, man.
Thank you, guys. I can't wait. I love the festival. It's my favorite. I speak at a lot of conferences, and this one's my favorite.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you, man. God bless.
See ya.
God bless.